Hi, so today I'm going to talk about some Phoenician artifacts that have been found in ancient America that could relate to the Book of Mormon. And the reason I'm going to talk about Phoenician artifacts is that they may relate to the Mulekites who are in the Book of Mormon. Now, many of you will know that in the Book of Mormon, Lehi's people come to the Americas, and after a few hundred years, they encounter the Mulekites and in the land of Zarahemla. And it says that the Mulekites came over and descended. Mulek was the son of King Zedekiah, and that they came over to the Americas. And the people have wondered how the Mulekites came over, and there are a number of people who think that they would have come over with the Phoenicians. And the reason why is that at that time, in that 6th century, 600 BC, 6th century BC time frame, when the Israelites, were conquered by Babylon, the Israelites had two friendly nations near them, Egypt and the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were the sea people who were very good with shipbuilding and with boats, and they're known to have at that time frame sailed throughout the Mediterranean areas, and not just the Mediterranean areas, but actually out into the Atlantic Ocean, up to Spain, up to the British Isles, and so forth. And so they had the capability potentially to have come to the Americas and cross the Atlantic. So the thought is that Mulek, the son of King Zedekiah, had people with him that would have gone to the Phoenicians for help, and that eventually the Phoenicians sailed them to the Americas, so that the Phoenicians may have been with and part of the Mulekite people who were then found in the Book of Mormon. There are some ancient artifacts in the Americas that may relate to the Phoenicians, and I want to share those with you because it's yet another evidence of this possibility that may support the Book of Mormon. And to do this, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the Native American artifacts that have symbols that could relate to the Phoenicians, or some of them also could relate to Hebrew or ancient Middle Eastern people in the Americas. Each of these artifacts have been either authenticated as Native American artifacts, or at least have been shown and presented in museums as Native American artifacts and presumed to be authentic. And we'll talk about the symbols in them one by one. The first one that you see here is called the rattlesnake disc, or sometimes called the Moundville disc. It was found in Moundville, Alabama. It's accepted as an ancient Native American artifact pre-Columbus. And one of the interesting things about it is it has on it the eye in hand, a symbol with a hand with an eye in the palm. And this is a symbol that's known to have been popular and common in the Near East and North Africa going back anciently, and was known to have been something that was used by the Phoenicians and also by some ancient Hebrews. We'll talk about each of these discs, and then I'll talk a little bit about the Hamsa symbol and other symbols we see here. This particular disc, the rattlesnake disc, is held in the Alabama Museum of Natural History. Here is another disc. This one is called the Willoughby disc, and it's another accepted as a Native American artifact. It again has the eye and hand symbol twice on that disc, and this one is held at Harvard University in their Peabody Museum of Art and Ethnology. So it has the Hamsa symbol twice here. Here's yet another one. This was also in the Moundville, Alabama area, and it's a little harder to see, but you can see the hand with the eye in it. This one also has an interesting star symbol on it. That one's another one of the Willoughby disc. Now, before we go on to some of the other artifacts, let's talk a little bit about the Hamsa. Okay, so as I said, the Hamsa is the image with the eye in the hand. There's multiple versions of it. It ended up becoming popular with in Muslim countries and sometimes called the Hand of Fatima, but it actually predates the Muslims, and it was seen anciently. For example, there's an 8th century BC Israelite tomb that has a hand symbol that could relate. It's also been seen in ancient Carthage. Carthage is one of the Phoenician cities. The Phoenicians are also called Punic, and over here there's a Punic or Phoenician rock with symbols on it, including the hand in eye. Now, on this particular website, they go into some additional artifacts with the hand and eye symbols. So that was the rattlesnake disc and the black and white version to help you see more clearly. It had these snakes wrapped around it. The snakes wrapped around it actually kind of has a little bit of a look that could relate to Mesoamericans as well, which is interesting, may show some potential influence there. This is actually dated to after Book of Mormon timeframes, the 1300 to 1450 timeframe, but before Columbus. That's the Willoughby disc that we already talked about. There's additional artifacts, though, with a similar Hamsa symbol on it. This is a pottery with the hand and eye symbol that was also found in Alabama. Another piece of pottery with a hand and eye symbol also found around Alabama. And this is the one we've already seen with this oblong pendant. And that's also around the Moundville, Alabama area. So that's the rattlesnake disc again. Okay, so, and this is that Phoenician symbol with the hand. Now, the Phoenicians also had another symbol, and this was, so the Phoenicians were pagans. They did worship idols, and they worshiped Baal and also Tanit, or Tanit, and who relates to a female goddess that relates to Asherah and Ishtar. But this was the symbol for Tanit, and it's kind of a female figure there with a triangle sort of at the bottom, and then a circle, and then a line through. This is one version of that symbol. Now, this sign of Tanit has been found in some artifacts in ancient America as well, and we'll show an example of this. Now, these are metal artifacts that were found at the Hopewell Mound group site in Chillicothe, Ohio. The Chillicothe, Ohio area, the Hopewell Mound group, is one of the key sites that I think relate to the Mulekites and Phoenicians in the land of Zarahemla. Now, they had some they were very good working at metal in that Chillicothe area, the Hopewell were, which relates to Book of Mormon time frame. These are artifacts found in the Hopewell Mound group dated to the Book of Mormon time frame, the 100 BC to 400 AD. Now, there are a couple of artifacts in it there and here. This is a female figure. This sort of just not, this side is supposed to be up. But, and sometimes people see these and they think, oh, that might be the Ankh symbol, which is Egyptian. But the Ankh symbol, it has sort of a circle and a line, but then it has a line or stem at the bottom, not the triangle. Instead, these more closely resemble the ancient Phoenician symbol for their goddess Tanit. And let's go ahead and take a look at those. So these are held at the Field Museum in Chicago. And so there's a site related to the Hopewell and some of the artifacts for them in the Field Museum's Hopewell collection. And as you go down, their artifacts number. So these are the artifacts. So this would be one. Again, the symbol, which could be just a woman figure or could be the symbol for the sign of Tanit. This one also looks like it could be the sign of Tanit, which is the Phoenician symbol for their goddess. And those are the artifact numbers in the Field Museum, the pictures of them. Okay, and again, these were taken from the Hopewell mound group in the Hopewell area of Chillicothe. Okay, get rid of that. Now, going to the sign of Tanit. Here's an example of it. If you go to the Wikipedia page, it talks about how this is a sign or symbol for the Punic, which is Phoenician goddess Tanit, and that it was present. You see it a lot with the artifacts from ancient Phoenicians, and it was an important goddess for the Phoenicians. Here's also, if you just go to Google, look at the Phoenician Tanit symbol, lots of different versions of this same symbol, which again, and you see how some of these are very close and match the Native American ones that are found in the Hopewell mound group in Chillicothe. There you go to Wikipedia regarding Tanit, and it talks about how she's one of their goddesses, and that there are examples of things with her back to prior to the Lehi's time frame, but especially 5th century BC on, you see a lot more. But there are examples of her related to going back to 11th century BC. Okay, we'll get rid of that one. Now, another Phoenician aspect that we see that could relate to the Phoenicians is with the Kanawha River. Now, the Phoenicians were called, or sometimes in the Old Testament, they're referred to as Canaanites. They lived in the land of Canaan. And so the Canaan was considered the promised land. Moses leads the Israelites into to the promised land, and the Israelites kind of kick out and conquer those that were remaining there. Now, when they got to the lands of Manasseh and Ephraim, where there are a lot of Canaanites, Phoenicians that were there, they ended up becoming friends with them and allowing the Phoenicians to live there, and ended up the Phoenicians and Israelites lived together in those areas. And here it talks about how the Phoenicians, also called Punics, referred to themselves as Kanani, which relates to this Canaanite name. So the Phoenicians called themselves the Kanani. Now, what's interesting about that is there is a Native American tribe that's not far from that Ohio area where we see some of these Phoenician artifacts that called themselves the Kanoi, which is very similar to the Kanani. And the Kanawha River in West Virginia is named after this Kanoi tribe. This is the Kanawha River and the New River are the same. They go up through West Virginia, and it's a long north-flowing tributary of the Ohio River. In fact, it's the main north-flowing river there in the United States. So it's actually a possibility related to the river Sidon as well. I can talk about that in future episodes. But anyway, the Kanawha River. Now, the Kanawha River, it's spelled this way, but it's generally pronounced Kanawha. Now, I lived in West Virginia in the Charleston area, and they just call it Kanawha. So it's Kanawha, and it's named after the Kanoi tribe. So here's an example. The natives called it the Kanoi, so it was named after the tribe. So this is how the Kanawha River gets its name. So the Kanawha River has a name that's very similar to the Canaanite, which is what the Phoenicians called themselves, which could be an ancestor to the Kanoi tribe, is the theory that I'm getting after. And in addition, in the Bible, a river that is the boundary between one of the boundaries between the tribe of Manasseh and the tribe of Ephraim was a Kanawha River. And I'll show you the reference to that. This is in the book of Joshua in the Old Testament, chapter 16. So here again, it's talking about the inheritances, the land that was given to the children of Joseph and how it was divided between Ephraim and Manasseh, and how they let the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, continue to dwell among them. And if you get down to verse 8, it's talking about the border between the land of Ephraim, given to Ephraim and to Manasseh, their descendants. And anyway, and it's defining the border. It says the border was unto the river Kanawha, and the goings out thereof were at the sea, and this is the inheritance. So this is dividing the dividing line for the inheritance of the children of Ephraim. So what I'm getting to here is that there was a river in the Old Testament called the Kanawha River, which was part of the border between the children of the tribe of Manasseh and the tribe of Ephraim, in which Canaanites lived with the Phoenicians lived with them. And that in West Virginia, we have a similar, phonetically similar name for the river, the Kanawha River, which is named after the Kanoi tribe, which is yet another example of an evidence that may point to Phoenician existence in the Americas, which then combines, I'll go ahead and stop share there, which then combines with the evidence I just gave you in terms of the artifact showing the Hamsa symbol and the artifact showing the sign of Tanit, which is of a Phoenician goddess. So I think that there's some pretty good evidence in the Americas of the existence of the Phoenicians, which provides good support for the theory that many have that the Mulekites came over with the Phoenicians, and that the Phoenicians were and the Phoenicians and the children of Mulek together were friends. The Phoenicians, by the way, use the same similar alphabet as Hebrew, and is kind of like it's a language that's not that far apart, and such that when the children of Nephi find the Mulekites and talk about their language being corrupted, that could relate to this Phoenician influence in the language that was there in Zarahemla. Also, from the time that the Nephites meet the people in Zarahemla, you have some names which look Phoenician. For example, the river Sidon. Sidon was a city. The name of a Phoenician city is another. So it's another example of a Phoenician name that's being used. So I think that there's a good case and a good argument for the ancestry of Native Americans to be part Hebrew, but then also having a Phoenician input as well, that there may be some Phoenician ancestry for Native Americans, and there's some evidence for that in terms of the artifacts and the names. So anyway, I hope you'll find that interesting. If you like this content, I hope you'll subscribe and hit the like button and the notification so that you can get further content. Thank you.